Hey, okay, here we go. Um, Getting ready to get back on track. Big deal for us. We got to get ourselves ready to start this fourth quarter, getting off on the right foot. It's a really important week for us to do that. It takes all of the focus and all of the consideration you would normally think for championship matchup, and that's what we're doing. That's how we're going to go about it. And
Jackie?
Hey, Coach. What kind of challenges come when you're facing a team that lost the way that they did in the final seconds, plus the added emotion of just getting that first win on the board? Can you prepare for that? And if so, how?
yeah, we do have a way that we talk about it, Jackie, that kind of is encompassed by the way we talk about all the matchups. That this is the next game, and all of the the storylines that you could pick out of it don't have anything to do with how we want to prepare and how we want to focus. And so there's a real discipline that it takes week in and week out, in conference, out of conference, in division, out, all that stuff that happens, records and all of that. So this is a good illustration for us, as it is every week, to come right back to focus and do things in the routines that we need to do to play good football.
John?
Pete, Monday you talked about the Jamal trade and being ecstatic with getting him here. Obviously, you guys do your homework when you add a player, you see the film and everything, but you don't really know the guy necessarily until he gets in. Just how's he been compared to maybe what you're expecting, just as an overall person, leader, player, everything?
Well, first off, anytime we talk about these trades, and particularly this is such a sweet one for us, that John, this is John Snyder's vision, to see that, think about it. He has to have an inkling about that there's a possibility. Then he's got to go through all the process to nurture the opportunity, which he did. Did our homework, did our studies, and all of that, and we were so excited about the chance to get a player of this magnitude. We had done our homework about Jamal, just trying to learn who he was as best we can. As you said, you don't know him until you get the guy here, really. But after all of that being said, that he's been just a great team guy, and he's worked so hard. He cares so much about our team and about his relationships and the players that he plays with, that he's been perfect in all ways. And so there's nothing I don't like about guys that have a high energy and high intensity and are jacked up, and take great pride in their work. And he does all that. So he's been a great addition for us.
Masvita?
Another traded player question that you picked up. Quandre Diggs, what have you seen, and what has he meant to the back line communication-wise, just solidifying that play?
Yeah, I think the first thing, now that I know him and have watched him relate with everybody, is his leadership. What I would talk about. He's such a all-in player. The way he works, the way he practices, the way he studies, the standards that he upholds, and really, because he does it, it really demands that other guys do it as well. I mean, he's been such a valuable part of our team, and came in the middle of the last year and all that, but really, and I can see why he was the captain in their program, and he's been very meaningful to us, and love his toughness.
Joe?
Pete, it seemed like in that Arizona game in Week 11, you guys beat them. You only had 2 explosives in the passing game, but things felt on time, on schedule in the short to mid-range games. And maybe it's been more laborious over the recent stretch here. Is that a fair evaluation? And maybe what has been the disconnect between the Arizona game and maybe what's happened recently?
It's different teams, different games, different situations, all of that, I'm not sure where you're going with that, but we're playing better now than we played all year long, and in the passing game as well. And I'm not sure if you're saying we've done well or we've done poorly, but I'm seeing that we've really improved a lot, and we're counting on the consistency that we're starting to find here. And it has to do with the rush. It has to do with the familiarity of the guys working together in coverage, and just the connection that it takes to play at a high level. We've stepped up, and so I'm counting on us doing it again. And really, we need to continue to get better as we finish the season. But we've turned things in a good, positive direction.
Corbin?
You mentioned that things are improving, but on Sunday you had 24 dropbacks where Russell
We can't hear you, Corbin.
I don't think it's his fault.
All right, Corbin, try it again.
Can you hear me?
Barely. Go ahead. We'll decipher.
All right, can you hear me now? I had the wrong mic apparently
There
set
we
up.
go. Got it.
You mentioned the offense improving, but on Sunday, 24 dropbacks that Russell had at least 3 seconds with a clean pocket back there on film, and he only had a little under 6 yards per attempt on those plays, was sacked twice. What was your overall impression of the way the line pass protected, and are you concerned about the fact there were a lot of plays that Russ had time in the pocket and he still weren't able to get those downfield plays going in the
Yeah,
passing?
yeah. I feel the same way. I came out of the game feeling like the guys protected well, and we needed to get more production out of our opportunities. We really had chances. We were trying to get the ball down the field more than allowed, and we were looking for opportunities, and we just need to adjust and take advantage of what was available to us. But protection was solid, and I thought that was a good job, even providing that we had a couple guys in there that haven't been playing a lot.
Michael Sean.
This version of the secondary is probably the best one you've had since the Legion of Boom days. Like, did you have a vision for how you guys would have to transition from that era with Cam, Earl, and Sherman? How much of what you guys have been able to do now looks like that vision?
I can't tell you that I had a vision for it because I wasn't sure, who the players were going to be, and as we were transitioning, and it kind of happened. It didn't seem like it happened all at once, although it almost did. Now when you look back, but I've always felt like our secondary should be notable. We should play in noteworthy fashion. That's the way I've expected it over the years, and so it was just a matter of who the new guys were going to be, and then we'd have to figure out, who would ever have known that Cam would be like that, or Earl would have been the style that they would have been. And so you have to wait and figure it out somewhat. You have hopes. So hopefully, that instead of maybe that not vision was that we'd find the right combination of guys, we turn it around, and we would we'd get back on track again. But you got to know that to have a collection of those guys of that caliber, that playmaking style, is rare. We don't talk about Brandon Browner very much, but he was a big factor in those days as he played with those guys too, and was part of getting that thing rolling. And but I would say this now, in camp, when we started working together in camp and got to see our guys, my expectations went really high in thinking that the things that we could do, and had a lot to do with Marquise, who had really was an extraordinary young factor in what we were doing and all that. And I just feel like we're just kind of getting back together again. It's taken a while to get the band back out there, so hopefully we can finish with a real strong showing to wrap up this season.
In terms of building for the future, how different is it when you drafted all Earl, Cam, even got BB for pretty cheap, but you have to expend draft picks on guys like Quentin and Jamal and Diggs? Just how different is that from a team building perspective?
Yeah, well, not very many people would have figured that fourth and fifth rounders and free agents out of Canada would make some group come together, that they'd get a nickname and all that. Sherm might have thought that. He might have had that in his vision, but it was hard to picture that in the day. And so I'm not sure what you asked, but you got to hit it right sometimes, and it all's got to work together. And we're moving in the right direction with these guys, and that was a rare bunch of guys. We have, but I know you said about how we had to acquire some guys. Yeah, well, we're trying to get it back to where we need it, and not very patient about it.
Thanks.
Sure.
Bob.
Yeah, a couple of personnel things. Looks like Josh Gordon's made it through COVID and can start being in team meetings with you guys.
Yes.
And is there a chance Greg Olson? It sounded like he said over the weekend that maybe he's got a chance to get back more quickly than you guys might have thought.
He's surprising us the way he looks already. Greg in particular. Josh is in the building today for the first time, and it'll take a while before we can get active in the practice and all that kind of stuff. But we're going through the process. Yeah, but Greg's making a big turnaround. So who's to say how long it'll take? We're not gonna set any limits on him. He's doing some good stuff.
Is Quentin Dunbar going to be able to practice today?
He's practicing today.
More. You guys signed Alex Magoo to the practice squad. Was that a priority to get another quarterback in there, just kind of based on what maybe happened with Denver or whatever?
Yes. Yes.
Ben.
Hey, Pete, how would you describe your experience coaching the Jets in '94, and then also what did you learn from that, first NFL head coaching experience that you take with you to Seattle?
Well, I've learned a lot, and I'm a lot different than I was then because of what I've learned. Um, it was kind of a surprise experience. Got, put in position to take that thing over, and then just didn't get much time to work, and to really put it into shape. But, I did learn a lot. I learned a lot about dealing with the people that are in ownership and people that run the clubs and opinions and stuff like that. Sorry about the noise out here. That you got to work with your people. I was kind of a little bit of a maverick at the time, I think, the way I went about it. I really wasn't worried about, making friends and with the owners and stuff like that. I just was coaching and I needed to work at it more, be a little bit more politically correct. I was kind of politically not correct at the time, and so it was fun. It was a nice try. Just ended too fast.
Greg?
So I know the NFL doesn't tell you much about suspensions, but is there a reason why there's a 10-day gap here or 12-day gap between Gordon being in the building and allowed to practice?
Yeah. Greg, I don't know the reason for that. I don't know what that is, but I know it's the acclimatization type of approach. That's one of the ideas, and I think that's at the heart of it, is to give a guy a time who has, hasn't been part of a program, a time to get where he can, protect himself and all that. So that's the biggest part of it. I don't understand these first couple days, why he can't be with us totally, but whatever. That's the rules, and we're going with it.
He can't get on the field till the 21st. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we'll be working him with our trainers, and he'll be getting in shape and all that. What I've talked to Josh about is it's really important that he really busts it right now, so that when he does get out, there's not a lag time of him adapting. He's got to get it done now, so that there's just not much time left. So he's going to work really hard with our guys to make sure he's running full speed, top speed, as long as he can before he ever gets on the field with us, so that he can maintain it once we get going. Because we expect to give him a chance to help us when he's available.
Maybe it's an unfair question because you didn't have him a ton last year, but can you see any growth change or anything different now, him joining you now today this week than last fall?
Well, yeah, I think on both sides of it, Greg, from our side of it and from Josh's side, we're much more familiar now. We've spent much more time with him and knowing him, and we understand his physical abilities much more so, how he learns and all of that. But we understand the kid too, and how much he wants to be a part of this thing, and all of those things that go into building a relationship. And so we start way faster than we did last time around, and we're way ahead, which we talked about that this morning, that we're way ahead of where we were when we started last time. So I know he's very sincere about this. He's worked really hard to get here, and we respect the heck out of that, and we're going to help him in every way to make sure that he can get what he wants out of this deal.
Curtis?
You've been incredibly happy with the performance of your special teams this year. To be able to do it, having to change to Larry Izzo early in the season with Brian not being around, and to be able to maintain that level of play. And is there any update on Brian too, now that bring it up as well?
First off, Larry has done a marvelous job. Just a first-class job, and jumped right at it. He had been a team's coach before, in Houston and all that. It wasn't brand new to him, but still there's a transition there. Shoot, man, he's done a fantastic job. Brian's back with us now, and he's working with his, and he's helping him, along the way, which has been really beneficial, and we're glad to have him back. But I can't say enough about what Larry has done to, maintain a level of play, and then even go beyond it and give us this kind of week-to-week consistency that's really separated our guys.
And how long has Brian been able to be back with you at this point?
Probably a month now. He's been on the field with us the last couple weeks.
Tim?
Pete, a couple injury updates. Do you have any update on DeMarco Jones, Ryan Neal, how they came out of the game, and then what's the plan this week with Brandon Shell and the possibility of him playing on Sunday?
Yeah, Brandon's going to work today at practice, so that's a good sign. We'll ease him back in. He's real anxious to get back, and it seems like he's ready to go. It's going to take all the way to the end of the week on Ryan, and the other guy was Jamarco. Yeah, Jamarco. It's going to take us all week to know on Jamarco also. Neither one of those guys are out right now, but we got to make sure that we get enough time to check them out, and I can't tell you yet.
And then with Quinton, do you anticipate him being able to get enough work this week where he could play?
We'll take it one day at a time. One day at a time. I'm really thrilled that he's back. He's worked really hard to get back out here, but we got to see him practice and see him work and see where he is. DJ did a really nice job for us again last week, and we feel very comfortable there, so we don't have to rush Quinton back out. And so we're going to hopefully bring him back in the right pace so that he can really be strong and ready to finish the season with us.
Brady?
You told us last week that you're kind of keeping Danny Etling separate from your other quarterbacks. What's the plan there with Alex? How are you going to do that with Alex?
Alex needs to work with us for a while here to get caught up where we're going, and then we'll make a determination how to go from there. I could see in the future that Alex gets back with us for a few weeks, gets comfortable, and then we may separate him too. It doesn't. He needs to learn a lot more before he could help us. So we're going to try to bring him along and hope for the best and keep Danny clear, and then in time we may make that decision. We'll wait and see what we do with that. But we're considering that.
Gotcha. Sorry. And you said Brian is helping Larry. Is Larry still coordinating the special teams?
Yes. He's in full command of it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We're
Okay,
short
see
on
you guys.
time today. Sorry, guys.